Alright, we're looking at our week 4 activity number 3, lesson 18.6, and today we're going to talk about metric units for liquid volume. The last 2 days we looked at customary units, which is the system we use a lot here in the United States, and some other countries do as well, but the majority of the world uses the metric system, and especially when we're talking about scientific measurements, a lot of times we're going to use the metric system. But actually here in the United States you'll see both things listed on containers, so we kind of do both. We're going to be looking at page 595 through 597. So looking at page 595, we have kind of a little experiment we're supposed to set up hands-on. So I'm going to do my best to do this here under the camera. It says liquid volume is the amount of liquid in a container. The liter is the basic metric unit for measuring liquid volume. A milliliter is the metric unit to measure liquid in very small containers. So for our activity, we're supposed to have a 1 liter beaker, and I have a 1 liter container. Let's see if I can get that focus where you can see. It's clear, so you have to see the writing on this, but that does say, maybe I can get it where you can see it. There we go. It says 1 liter right there. So this large measuring cup is a 1 liter container. A container you might recognize a little better as 1 liter. This is a kind of larger water bottle. You can get these at Walmart, and if you look on the side, it says that it is 1 liter right here. Of course, you can also buy the big bottles of like Coke or Sprite or Dr. Pepper, and they might be a 2 liter or a 3 liter container. If you look on the side of those plastic bottles, you can kind of see that measurement there. But you'll notice it has how many fluid ounces, it has quarts and fluid ounces, so that means it's a little over 1 quart, pretty close to a quart though. A liter and a quart are pretty close to the same size. And then it also says 1 liter. And we need a bottle cap and a 1 milliliter dropper. Now this is the kind of dropper you might see in like baby medicine, because it's a very small amount you're giving to them. And I know that looks like it says 25, but actually there's a little dot right there. That's 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and this is not a 10, it's a 1.0. So actually, to squeeze this and get liquid into this container right here, that would be 1 milliliter. And actually, this is where I would have my students guess, if we were in class, how many milliliters it takes to fill up a 1 liter container. And the answer to that is 1,000. It takes 1,000 of these little bitty milliliters to fill up 1 liter. Okay, so our activity we're supposed to do, it says to fill a 1 liter beaker with water to the 1 liter mark. So I could fill this up. We're going to just kind of compare here. And then we're supposed to find 2 different containers and figure out if they are less than a liter, if they're exactly a liter, or if they are more than a liter. So for the first container I chose the little 1 cup water bottle that we used in our last 2 lessons when we talked about the cup, or that 8 fluid ounces equals 1 cup. So here is this container. It says we're going to draw it. So I'm going to draw the best I can. Kind of goes down like this. Has a little thing there, a label. I'm going to write cup on it so I can remember that This is the 1 cup container. And I can tell by looking that a cup is going to be less than my liter. Here, let me lift the camera a little bit there. So the 1 cup is a lot less than 1 liter. So less than 1 liter. And we abbreviate liter with like a big L. Okay, so this cup container is less than a liter. So of course I wanted to find a container that I could use to compare that would be bigger. So I looked in my cabinet and I've got one of these big plastic containers you can make some lemonade or something in, and it's got some little measurements on the inside. They're backwards this way because you're supposed to be looking inside and pouring the water or whatever in. But at the very top right there it says 1 gallon. So this is a 1 gallon pitcher. So if we want to compare the liter to a gallon, well, let's see if I can go up even farther. Well, hopefully you can tell that that is smaller. Here, I'm going to take the lid off. I know that a liter is going to be less than a gallon because it doesn't fill up that container. So I'm going to draw my large gallon pitcher here. I don't know if I can draw it very well. It's not bad. That's a little handle. And I'm going to write gallon across it because this was a 1 gallon pitcher and it is more than 1 liter. So that kind of gives us kind of a comparison here. It's bigger than a cup but less than a gallon. Liters are often used though when you're buying, looking at capacity in other parts of the world, like maybe getting gasoline or something. We're gonna, instead of getting gallons of gas, they buy liters of gas here in other countries. Okay, I'm gonna bring my camera back down a little bit. Let's see better. There we go. And then our next little experiment says to use the 1 milliliter dropper filled with water to fill the bottle cap. So this is actually the cap that came off of this water bottle here. And I've got some water over here in a cup to the side. And there we go. It filled right up to the 1 milliliter mark there. Don't know how well you can see that on there, but if I squeeze that in, not quite filled up. Let's do it again. Ooh, that's pretty close to the top there. Okay, that's where I want to stop, or I'm going to have a wet book here. So that's filled up. That was 2 times. So 2 times. If the bottle cap is less, explain if the bottle cap is less than a millimeter, or more than a milliliter. Sorry, milliliter, not millimeter. Well, it took 2 milliliters to fill up that bottle cap, so it is more than a milliliter. Name a container that will hold a liter of water. Well, a large water bottle, we'll say that. These are the really big flavored waters. will the container hold 50 bottle caps of water? Well, our bottle cap held 2 milliliters. So if we had 50 of those times 2 milliliters, 50 2 times would be 100 milliliters. And so, yes, because a liter is 1,000 milliliters. So if we had 50 of these bottle caps full of water, that would only equal 100 milliliters, but it takes 1,000 milliliters to fill up a 1 liter container. All right, let's turn the page. Okay, we're on page 596. It says a dropper holds about 1 milliliter, a full glass holds about 250 milliliters, and a sports bottle holds about 1,000 milliliters or 1 liter. Suppose you drank a glass of orange juice. Did you drink about 4 milliliters or 300 milliliters of orange juice? So a glass of orange juice, let's say right here a glass is about 250, and 4 milliliters would only be 4 of these. That would not give you quite enough orange juice. So 300 milliliters, because 4 milliliters is not very much milliliters. Right, so choose the unit you would use to measure each container's capacity, right? Milliliter or liter. So this one's going to be a lot easier than cups, pints, quarts, gallons that we've been doing, because we just have 2 to choose from right now, and they are very small things. We're going to count smaller amounts, milliliters, larger containers that can hold at least 1 liter, we'll use liters. So we've got a spoon here. This is going to hold a small amount. It may hold 2 or 3 milliliters. So this one's going to be milliliters because it's small. This looks like a large container. It might hold 2 or 3 liters of soda. So we're going to say liter. And I'm just abbreviating milliliter or liter on this. This teapot here, it can probably hold a liter. And so could this larger pan here, pot. Now this small cup, it may hold quite a few milliliters, kind of like this glass of juice up here. It may hold about 250 milliliters, but I don't think it's going to be large enough to hold 1 liter, so we would use milliliters. Now this large fish aquarium, we can use liters. Ginger pours punch into 3 1-liter bottles. Choose the metric unit to measure the liquid volume in each bottle. Write milliliter or liter. Well, that's less. Oh, can't see it on the screen, can you? So here on number 7, this is the 1-liter bottle, and it's less than a liter, so we would use milliliters. That would probably be 500. So this is probably about 250 milliliters. This looks like the whole thing is filled up, so we could use liters. This looks like about half, so about 500 milliliters. But it's not a full liter. Okay, let's look over on page 597. It says problem solving. Use the containers for 10 through 13. Container A is full when 1 liter of water is poured into it. So this right here, container A, is 1 liter. What if you poured 1 liter of water into container B? Describe the way the water fills the container. Explain how you know. If we poured the same amount of water that was in this into this one, now I'm kind of just guessing, but because it is shorter than this, but it's wider, I think it might be close to the same amount. So I'm going to write container B would be close to the same as A because it's wider and shorter. So we just took this container and shortened it, but then widened it, so it's probably about the same amount. Okay, number 11. Bryson filled 2 containers full with water. One container held 2 liters and the other container held 250 milliliters. Which 2 containers did he fill? So the one that had 2 liters, it would have to be twice the size of this one. If I look at D, I think D is maybe 3 or 4 of this one. We said this one's probably the same. C, though, looks like if I stacked 2 of the liter containers on top of each other, it would be that. So 2 liters is container C. And then we have one that's only 250 milliliters. Now remember, a liter is 1,000 milliliters, so 250 milliliters is a lot less. It's less than half of this size. So I think that would have to be the smallest one on here, container E. Just remember that even though this number is big, milliliters are very small. And it takes 1,000 milliliters to make 1 liter. And number 12, name 2 containers that would be filled with about the same number of liters of water. Well, I think A and B would be about the same. I think C is 2 of A. I think D is probably 3, maybe 4 liters, and E is much smaller. It's less than a liter. So A and B they are about the same size, just different shapes. So we've just taken this one and flattened it out. Okay. In science, I know a week or 2 ago you talked about solids, liquids, and gases, and if we have a liquid, it's going to take the shape of its container and it's going to fit that shape. Last question. Samuel says that you can pour more liters of water into container B than into container D. Is he correct? Okay, he says you can put more into B than D. I look at the size of B and it looks like it's the same width. It's the same around, but it's a lot shorter. Okay, so I think he's wrong. That's the error. So it asks, is he correct? And I'm going to say no. They are the same width, but D is much taller. Right, and that is the last question for today's activity. See you tomorrow.